Welcome back to Sales Insights with Sarah. This is the podcast for sales professionals and business leaders looking to implement new strategies and drive sales growth in their organisations. I'm your host, Sarah Downs, and my guests and I will be sharing with you some of our own experiences in business and sales insights to help you gain focus and take action. Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Sales Insights with Sarah podcast. So today I am delighted to be sharing a recent interview that I did with Mark Wright. Many of you may know Mark from him being the winner of the BBC The Apprentice back in 2014. But Mark is also a serial entrepreneur. Not only is he still in business with Lord Alan Sugar, with the UK's fastest growing digital marketing agency, Climb Online, he is also involved with a number of other businesses. And he has also become a good friend of mine over the last couple of years, and we've done some work together. So I was absolutely delighted to have him on the podcast and to share some of his wisdom with you all. So Mark and I talk about all things in the alignment of sales and marketing, what businesses should be thinking about, where businesses are going wrong, what are some of the key questions that we should be asking ourselves when it comes to sales and marketing. So I really hope that you enjoy the interview, and I'll speak with you all soon. Hi Mark, how are you?
Good, Sarah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining me. I'm really excited about this conversation. So for everyone that's listening, Mark and I are going to be talking about the importance of aligning the sales and marketing function in an organization. So Mark, if you can start by giving us a little bit of, story about your background and how you ended up where you are today.
Well, Sarah, it's very hard to summarize 32 years in about 32 seconds, but I'll give it a go for you. As you know, I'm new here to the UK. Well, not that new anymore. It's now my 9th year of being here in the United Kingdom, where we're making this podcast from. Today, I run one of the most successful digital marketing companies in the UK called Climb Online with Lord Alan Sugar, the boss of the TV show The Apprentice. But if you rewind 9 years, I was a backpacker coming through Europe with broke, no money, a few pairs of jeans, a few pairs of shirts, coming around the UK and Europe as a backpacker, as a tour guide over here from Australia. And my story sort of starts by needing a job, needing a money, just like any good story. And I was living in a backpacking hostel, homeless, essentially going around door knocking, asking for jobs. And I stumbled across a digital marketing agency, which was one of the biggest digital marketing agencies in the world. I started working for them. They had 73 offices, over 500 employees here. And like any entrepreneur, I believed I could do what they were doing better. I didn't like the way they treated their customers. I didn't like the way they treated their staff. So I put together my own business plan for a marketing company, which I thought would be revolutionary here in the UK. I took it to 4 banks, but because I'm not from the UK, I couldn't open an account. And that led me to a TV show called The Apprentice. People in the US listening will know The Apprentice from the president, Donald Trump. Over here, we know it as Lord Sugar. In Australia, we didn't have it at all. But I went on The Apprentice as one of 75,000 candidates trying out that year. I was in Series 10, the most popular series of the show. I won Series 10 of The Apprentice, which the prize was winning £250,000 and Lord Sugar's investment in my marketing company, which is now a top 100 marketing company in the United Kingdom. We employ many people. We work with brands like TikTok, Made.com, Wembley Park, you name it, here in the UK, one of the big businesses, we probably do their marketing. And it's been an honor to work with so many great entrepreneurs and business owners like yourself, Sarah, who understand that sales and marketing are really powerful tools. And when you get them right and get them working succinctly, anything in business is possible. So hopefully today we can unpack my passion, which is sales and marketing, and how I've scaled my agency to one of the biggest agencies in the country, but also how any business using the right sales and marketing methodologies, can scale to whatever numbers they want to.
Love it. And also, we've spoken a lot before, Mark, about, I guess that big question, sales or marketing, what's most important? And I guess the people listening, knowing that you're now, founding director of a very large marketing agency, would assume that you'd throw your hat in that marketing ring. But you always, say that you're the sales guy, you are a salesman.
Yep.
So what's your thoughts on that?
Well, it's tomato. I believe sales and marketing is the same thing. It's just the same thing with a different name. A good salesperson is a good marketeer. A good marketeer is a great salesperson. The same inside an organization. There is not one without the other. You cannot be great at sales without great marketing, and vice versa. And when you truly understand that, when you see the greats of all time, like Steve Jobs here on the banner behind me, people you meet, some people say he was the best salesman of all time, and the next person will say he was the best marketer of all time. They can't differentiate the two, but novices think they're different categories, and small businesses make the mistake of having a sales department and a marketing department and realizing if they don't connect, you're never going to be great at either.
And when you first started Climb Online, I guess, did you have that balanced focus on sales and marketing discipline within the team?
No, I didn't. I made the mistakes that a lot of business owners make by trying to save money and cut the budgets on marketing and scale the sales team. But what we realized was we were bringing in leads that didn't match the sales force that we had. So conversion rates were low. What I figured out, and you've got to realize I've been doing this a long time now, and in my job, I get to sit down with the best business owners in the UK every day. So I'm seeing the top business owners and right through to small businesses, what's working and what's not working. And what I didn't do when I started, which I wish I did, and what every business owner or company should do, is actually sit down and work from the back coming forward. It still shocks me how many businesses have never sat down and thought, who would we like as customers? People are just going out with a net and throwing it out there. That's called sales, cold calling, cold emails, all of this stuff, and just hoping you catch a customer in the net. But if you actually reverse engineer the process and look at what is our dream list of customers, and then if you start with that, how do we get those customers? That's called marketing. And then do we have the right sales team and processes in our business to when we get that customer interested to close that deal? And that is how the process works really well together. And I didn't do that till sort of a couple of years into my business because I was sick of failing. And it works really well when you get it right, let me tell you.
And as you know, we're working more on the sales side of things. So we'll often see companies start to invest in marketing, hire an agency, whether it's a generalist agency, digital marketing agency, and then start to complain that they're not getting that ROI, or maybe it's internal, they've started to invest in ads, etc. And again, are saying they're not getting the ROI. But what we see from looking at the sales competencies is that often it's falling flat on its face the minute it comes into the sales team, or maybe further on in that sales process. So strategically, what do you believe businesses are not thinking about early enough? So you've just spoken there a little bit around the balance and the alignment, but from the C-suite, what should they be thinking about before looking to invest in, I guess, either sales or marketing, but especially digital marketing?
You've got to have your ducks in a row. One of the mandatory things I try to enforce with any company that does marketing with me is telephone recording and tracking software so we can listen in to sales operative calls. And there's so many clients that have rang me up and said, your marketing's crap, I'm not getting any ROI, I'm not getting this, it's not what it was sold as. Then you listen into the telephone recording, they're not answering their sales line. They're taking 3 days to respond to a contact form on their website. Just the fundamentals of business getting thrown out the window. And this goes from £100 million businesses through to £1 million businesses. It's not having your ducks in a row. Firstly, who are the customers we want? What is our USP as a business? Who are we? And what do we want to say to businesses. That's really important. And what is our process in our organization from the start of a consumer being interested in us to closing that piece of business? Do we have a CRM system? Do we have a process to track leads and follow up and nurture leads in our business? And are we checking what our conversion rates are? Who's our great salespeople? Who's not so good? Who needs training? Are we recruiting the right people into the sales team to begin with? Marketing and sales is an art form. It is a science. And it's all good not to close deals and blame your marketing company, because that's the easy thing to do, but not to look at yourself, but to blame the marketing department. But what every business needs to do before they come to me is work from the inside coming out. Who do we want as a customer? And what is our process from start to finish to make sure that we close every interested deal? Because one good deal can change a business. Imagine what 100 can do.
Absolutely. And just touching on the process there, Mark, while we're on that point, I know a lot of the people that will be listening to this podcast are in more of that consultative, long sales cycle, multiple buyer persona. I often write into the executives or the C-suite when they're doing a deal, and they may think, well, marketing's not going to help me because it's not transactional, it's not e-commerce. And I would really like to talk about that for a few minutes, because there's a lot of assumptions being made on where marketing can support. And it's often as a lead generator and very front end heavy. Yes. But we've personally seen so much success in good marketing being used throughout that sales process into nurturing, into account management as well. Yes. So it'd be great if you could touch on that.
Well, and also don't forget your current client base. One of the most effective forms of growing a business is to upsell and cross-sell your existing customers. Nurturing new leads doesn't just mean the ones that you're bringing in the door. That can be people who are already happy customers of your organization. Keeping them updated on other products and service you've had, checking in, making sure that they're giving a good experience, because referrals and upselling and cross-selling is the most powerful form of growing a business. But people are so concerned again about going out there with the net and trying to bring in people they don't know rather than growing the people that they do know. So I think when I sit down with business owners, they must get sick to their blue in the face of me lecturing about the process within an organization, because I got kind of sick. I've been doing this like over 10 years now, and I kind of got sick of the blame game, my phone ringing saying the leads aren't converting. Well, the leads are fine. I know the leads are fine, because a lead coming into your business is a consumer showing interest. If you can't close this, there's now a problem in your organization, and that could be people or processes, could be price as well. So there's so many things we need to look at. I remember I worked with a company that supplied wooden tables, and they were £500 for one of these wooden tables, and the marketing was flying. It was like 200% up month on month, and they took the bill for a table from £500 to $4,900. The conversions dropped instantly, and they decided that was a marketing agency's performance. But you can't just put your prices up tenfold because something's working. You can't lose your best salesperson. You can't switch your CRM off to save costs. There is so many things. And, if we're speaking to any middle management out there, it's so important to sit down with an organization like yourself before you come to a marketing agency, because otherwise you could throw money out the window and it's going to be no one else's fault but your own. And that's something that I work on with a lot of people, is getting your house in order before you start to spend money, because it will save you so much in the long run. But also, I believe your reputation as a business is so imperative. How you service interested clients, how you service your current customer base, all adds to the overall persona of your business and what people say and think about you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the remit of marketing is so huge. A lot of people, you ask, what is marketing? They'll jump in to talk about social media, they'll talk about PR, they'll talk about SEO, they'll talk about ads. Everybody's perception of what is marketing, especially the non-marketeers amongst us, are, make a lot of assumptions. So when they are going out for marketing services, sometimes they're going out with the blinkers on rather than their eyes wide open as to what is possible for their organization. and what matches their sales process.
Yeah.
And instead of trying to fit into someone else's box. And unfortunately, there are a lot of agencies out there that will allow that to happen instead of steering and taking more of a strategic approach in their sales process
100%.
to ensure they are offering what's actually going to add value to the customer.
Have you ever been to the supermarket when you're hungry?
Oh, it's awful. You should see my trolley when I do that, Mark.
You end up wasting money and buying nothing but junk garbage that fills you up instantly. That is going to the marketplace of agencies before you've got a plan and a strategy for what your organization needs and wants as a business, because otherwise you're going to end up just taking the first thing that comes along, spending too much money on a channel or that is not right for your business. A good marketeer, a good agency is a great business consultancy, because they will prescribe you like a doctor what is the right marketing for your niche and your business and your sector and who you are as a company and who your customers are. Anyone that you just go along to and they say, do Google ads, I don't get that. I don't understand why they've said that. I need to sit down with someone. They need to understand my business to really prescribe me. That's why I get really upset when people tell me they can do what I do themselves. That really is like a red rag to a bull. They say, I can do my own marketing. I've trained for years to be really good at this. And, I can cut my own hair too, but let me tell you, it doesn't look that good when I do it. It's about really understanding business. The more you understand business and the specific business you're working with, the better in the sales marketing process will be.
Yeah, and I guess for Climb Online, you guys have clients from so many different sectors, so many different sizes, that there will never be, one size fits all in that prescription. And I love that you're speaking about doctors and prescriptions, because I always talk about going back and doing the MRI before jumping into surgery. And anyone that's heard this podcast will hear me say that a number of occasions, because companies are really great at jumping into surgery. They want tech, they want new process, new people, without really going back and figuring out what is going on, do some of those diagnostics. And I remember coming to Climb Online not that long ago about a client that we were working with, and other agencies had jumped into SEO. And what was really interesting is the person I spoke to in your team, and I'm not going to name them, but I'll tell you later, had said, SEO is all well and good, but you do understand it's a long-term gain. And the client was a bit taken aback and explained, that yes, it's important, but you're not going to get results in 2 weeks. Whereas all the other marketing agencies had been making, I guess, empty promises on how quickly this was going to work for this client. And the individual then gave some solutions as to what would work quickly if it was a quick gain that they were looking for. So it's just taking the time to ask some questions, really, isn't it?
Definitely. Education is the best form of selling, I've found. We all talk about being consultative salespeople. Understanding what people need and understanding who they are as a business and educating them on the truth of the process. It may not blow their socks off in terms of I'll take 10, but what you're going to have is consistency with a client over the long term, rather than a customer for a week that ends up leaving a bad review. They'll be with you for years, and because they've been educated on the process. And your marketing needs to do that, and your sales process needs to do that. And it's about being rigorously honest with customers. We turn down a lot of people. And there's power in turning away business, because it feels weird for the first couple of times, and there's something that feels like a sin. You shouldn't turn down business. I was always taught, you're lucky to have customers, which we are. I love all of our customers, but at the same time, doing a poor job for the wrong customer is negligible. So you're best to turn away business that does not suit who you are as a company, particularly if you can't help them.
Yeah, and what you just said there, I love all my customers. If you took the wrong ones on, you wouldn't be saying that.
That's quite right.
You wouldn't be adding value, and they wouldn't be, lovable by the end.
I can't say they all love me, by the way. Just like when people go to the dentist or the doctor, people come to me and they don't always like what they hear about their business or their processes. And that's the difference from another marketing provider. If you go and have a call with an agency, they'll tell you everything you want to hear to get a deal. And if you come to me and I tell you, well, I won't work with you before you have HubSpot in your system, because there's no good me sending you leads and you're putting them in a folder and they're falling out all over. And I just rang your main line, no one answered. And I sent you 3 different emails and no one's got back to me yet. So I'm not going to put my reputation at stake working with your business for you to turn around and say, my marketing doesn't work. That conversation really doesn't go well with a lot of people, but it's a powerful one.
And going back to the sales process again and talking about, where marketing can support. So you talked about the importance of the client base.
Yes.
And cross-selling, upselling. But even in a consultative sales cycle, where do you see some of the, wins? What are you seeing some of your clients using marketing for during that sales cycle, and which points?
I think in the longest sales cycles, you need the most gentle touch marketing that's not really in your face. It adds value consistently. That can be white papers, video content, webinar series, whatever it might be. That's all marketing, by the way. You might not think webinar is marketing tool. Absolutely, it is. But the longer and the harder or the bigger the ticket item of what we're trying to sell, the more consultative and educational we need to be in that process, and the better salespeople you need, by the way. There's no good bringing in what we call an A-level client and putting it with a D-level sales representative during that period, because they're not going to be having the right conversations to sell to them. That comes back to bringing in the right people through the recruitment phase to match your marketing phase at the same time. But that's a conversation for another day. But it really is education. So knowing that your process is long and having check-in points at each time to make sure, whether it's inviting people to a seminar that you do, having a webinar series, sending them a copy of the book that you do, inviting them on your podcast, sending them information or case study on how you took a similar or the same type of business from X to Y. These are all so powerful things that can be automated through CRM tools that make the customer think, bloody hell, these people are everywhere. We're not everywhere. We're everywhere to you in the right ways over a series of 6 or 8 months.
I love what you just said there, because obviously Gartner have just brought out their new report where it's 80% of all B2B engagement between buyer and supplier will be done online through digital channels by 2025. And we already know that only 1 in 3 of our clients actually want to see a salesperson, by the time they're like 75% at least the way through that process. So what you just said there about continually adding value and educating and giving the buyer what they need as part of that process. I think a lot of sales teams and businesses in general focus a lot on selling and selling techniques and selling process without the buyer in mind. And if we actually look at the buyer and survey the buyers, which I've done a lot of, you realize what their journey is, and you realize where your content needs to be, this 80%, process that they're going to take themselves through, where it needs to be for your business, what it needs to be for your business. And you'll correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, I think it's around 15 touch points right now that the buyer is needing to see before getting into that more consideration and decision part of that journey.
So I'm going to tell you a story which I've been trying to hold back and not tell anyone because I'm really bad. I've got a blabbermouth. I do something that works really well and I just want to tell everyone how well something I'm doing works. But there was a very famous businessman on LinkedIn about 2 or 3 weeks ago in the UK. He's up there with the top 1 or 2 business owners in the United Kingdom. He put a post on LinkedIn saying he was looking for a digital marketing agency. Now, this guy's the top guy in the UK. He got 2,000 comments instantaneously on his LinkedIn post. And we commented as an agency. He replied to 100 agencies of the 2,000. We were one of the 100. So we sat down and said, okay, so if you've got 2,000 options, how do you stand out in the marketing and sales process to the biggest person in the UK when you've got 2,000 competitors. That will tell us if we're any good at this. So we went and profiled this CEO and found out he's obsessed with the ocean, with the sea, and he names everything in his business. He's the captain and people's starboard and all of this stuff, all phrases. And we spent a Sunday creating a video that was ship themed and all this video content to send to him that was based on themes within his business. All we did was read a Wikipedia page, look at some podcasts and videos he'd done and read about their business online. Then we profiled them and created content to drip this guy via email after he engaged with our response. We won the deal. Now, all we've done is understand who we're talking to and created content that was relevant for them. If you ever meet a billionaire, talk about planes and boats. Easy. If you meet a cyclist, talk about cycling. People like talking about things they know and trust, and they enjoy themselves, because if you talk to me about F1, it's like a red rag to a bull. I'm so engaged because I know all the drivers and all the teams and everything in the news. And it makes me feel good because I know what I'm talking about. People like to know what they're talking about. And that's what we're doing that's working. We create engaging content really aimed at the individual, and it's working for me so well.
I love that. And I know exactly who you're talking about. I won't name them, but the businesses here in Aberdeen.
That might give it away a little bit, but I think you might be right.
I think anyone that just heard what you said, that saw that post, knows what you're talking about. So congratulations. I'm really, really happy for you. And I think that's a great match. But you're right. It's about putting in the effort. It's about, there's never one size fits all. It's about being strategic on how you reach out. And we see so many businesses doing all this automation badly, because I know some people do automation well, but there's also, most of the time it's done very badly. And people are always looking for the quick fix. And it's actually one of the questions I wanted to ask you today was, is digital marketing the magic pill right now? And what's hot? What is going on in the world of digital marketing? Because I'm sure there are so many people listening to this that, digital marketing is just something they hear on a weekly or daily basis, just like social media or PR or anything else. So what is digital marketing, and what should people be doing and thinking about, at least strategically, right now?
Well, I've been looking for a pill that I can take and it'll give me a six-pack and it'll make me this handsome forever, for a long time. And it doesn't matter what potion is out there, I've still got to go for a run and I've still got to push the weights and I've still got to do the work. And marketing is no different. It is the closest pill we've come to in a business sense for unlimited business. If you get your ads right and your business systems right and your sales process right now, you can have unlimited leads and sales. Coronavirus has amplified the need for digitizing your business, your processes, and your marketing. That has been crazy for my industry and my business, because people have now seen the power. It is incredibly powerful and effective when you get it right. When you get it wrong, it's a complete waste of money. And that is your job as a business, to understand where your customers are, because my customers, I know where they are and I know which platforms they're on, but that's going to be different from your business and another business down the road. B2C, B2B, and industry, seasonality all play huge impacts on which platform to go to talk to your customers on, or potential customers on, and how to talk to them. When you change platforms, the tone of voice changes, the content changes. So you really need to understand that first, who we're targeting and where they are. That's really simple. And you go and put some clever stuff together, profiling the people, and go and speak to them like human beings. Because in this digital world, I don't know about you, I spend all day on WhatsApp and Zoom, and this Teams is ringing and this thing's going. It's just becoming, I'm sort of almost lost in it. And then you get someone come and speak to you, or ring the phone, or create me a personalized video, and it connects differently to me. And That's what you've got to remember. Don't just be another pile in the emails. You've got to separate yourself from that. And automation, human beings are so clever. We know what's automation and what's real. And if you're just going to do automation for your quick pill that you're not going to do the exercise with, don't be surprised when you don't get a customer.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have to get consistent and do the workout, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's very hard. It's very hard, but I'm getting there, Sarah, on the workout side.
So if we have, a CEO or a CMO listening to this right now, what are the things they should really be thinking about when it comes to digital marketing right now to stand out? So we've spoken a little bit there about getting personal, video. I know you speak about video a lot, and it's something I've personally had great success in, especially in DMs, etc. But when it comes to, I guess, more the SEO, the ads, that seems to be where a lot of people are really in the weeds. They're completely lost. Is there any advice you could give people, not necessarily what to do, because there's no one size fits all, but what should they be thinking about? What, we're going into a new year. What should companies really be budgeting for 2021?
Yeah, I would look at my top 10 customers in my business, and I would trace back where I found them. Where did I get these top 10 customers from that bring me in the most margin, revenue, etc.? Oh, that one's from LinkedIn. So is that one? And you'll all of a sudden a pattern will present itself. Then get your marketing department in and ask them, hey, where are we doing all our marketing? And they will say something. It probably won't be your top 10, by the way. It'll be something else. Then get your sales people in and ask them. What you need to do is get everyone working on the same page in your business, understanding where your top customers come from. And you just want to amplify that. If your top customers have come in via Google Ads, my question is, how much can we spend on Google Ads? Because we now know it works. We know the returns there. Flying blind is the biggest risk in marketing, not knowing if it's working or not. And that's why a lot of people stop marketing, is because they feel like they're just throwing good money after bad. They may not be, which is the huge thing. So I know I spoke about it quite a lot already, but I've learned a lot of lessons on this journey, and the businesses who do this well track so well through their business, and they do it through CRM systems. Yeah, I know for a lot of people it's just a really negative word. They hate using the CRM. They don't want to put information into it. They don't know how it works or the value. But this is the stuff it's valuable for, is understanding where a lead came from, how much it cost to obtain that lead, and if it closed, and how much the contract was worth. If you can track things in and get that information, you now have a blueprint for how much you can then, once you understand where your leads are coming from and how much they're costing you, it's just a question then of how many leads do we want? And that is the eureka moment, when you know that you're getting a good cost per lead and you can just say, how many do we want? You destroy the competition.
Yeah. And I shall know a lot of the people listening to this will be from sort of energy, technology sectors who have been a little bit behind when it comes to sales and marketing going digital, to say the least. But they are getting there, and they've had to, like you said before, COVID has forced it. But if you ask a lot of these companies where the leads come from, they're going to talk about different, trade shows that they visit around the world that they can no longer attend. And some of them say they're happening this year, but we don't really know. And even if they happen, are the right people going to be there? It's not going to be a consistency probably to what happened before. So for these companies, they're now trying to identify, where are our clients hanging out now? Because we can't meet them at these trade shows. So are they on LinkedIn? Are they, visiting the website? Where are they? So we can capture them. That sounds awful. You know what I mean? So we can get them in the net. And before they start spending money. And like you said, a lot of it is a stab in the dark. They're kind of throwing a little bit of money at everything to try and see what works out, rather than being strategic about it. So for these businesses that are just getting going, for me, I think it's really important that they actually build that brand first before they start really selling on these platforms. And a lot of these companies try to use, for example, LinkedIn ads, but they'll go straight into a call to action rather than, just educating and building some brand awareness for a little while first to the same people.
Yeah.
For these these companies, they're very big companies, most of the ones I'm talking about right now, international teams all around the world, but often with a centralized marketing division.
Yeah.
How do they find out where the clients are, where they're hanging out? How often should they be on top of that? And obviously there'll be an element of testing.
Yep.
If the clients are just moving into different platforms and they're following them, there is going to be some testing. So do you think that that's something that they should be building in, the testing side of it?
There's always an element of testing and there's always an element of risk in your initial phase of marketing. No doubt about it, no matter how much knowledge you have. But your goal from your marketing department is to get as much knowledge as possible. One thing I'm using really effectively, particularly because of COVID and not knowing where consumers are going to be in the future, how they used to be, is using surveys. Paying surveys to go out to the types of customers that I work with and understanding which radio station do you listen to, what TV shows do you watch, which trade shows will you be attending? Because once I have that information, I want to know where to put my test budget. In the UK, that might be LBC radio, that might be using Sky Q TV ads, whatever it is to track down your potential customer, because there's no good shouting your message at someone who can't afford your product. It's a waste of time, or a customer you don't want, or who are not even going to understand what you do in the gas and oil and technology sector. So you've got to be speaking to the right people if they're going to understand your language and finding out where they are. I'm using surveys. I mean, a lot of companies don't even know you can do that. There's so many survey tools. You pay $1,000 or £1,000. It sends it to people in your target demographic, and you get back information. It will tell you what they're listening to. Might be a specific podcast on Spotify. It might be a particular radio station, but all of a sudden you're a little less blind and it gives you that starting point. And once you get going from the starting point, it's easy to then optimize from there.
Okay, perfect. So going back to the alignment, Mark, of sales and marketing, the big question. A lot of the businesses that are just getting started in, I guess, digital marketing,
yes,
they've probably done some PR, they've probably done some advertisement, they've had stands at trade shows, they've got a website, but probably not optimized. They're just getting started. And therefore, the sales teams are often not used to working off of leads that come from marketing, because the salespeople are often at the trade shows. It's a different world.
Yep.
And they're starting to need to, for it to get the ROI, work on these leads. Where are you seeing businesses going wrong? You spoke before about not answering the phone and it taking too long. What are some of the common factors that the strategic people listening to this call can kind of do a touch point in their organization of, are we doing this? Are we not doing this right now?
Well, a lot of businesses die because they say the words, we've always done it this way. That is a fundamental mistake that a lot of businesses, particularly big businesses, make. They say, we got big, we've always done it this way, we were discovered 130 years ago. I mean, that doesn't mean anything in business. You can go bad just as quickly as you can good if you don't keep up with how consumers are changing their habits. What does that mean? Well, every business should be able to communicate with customers via Facebook chat and on WhatsApp, because that's how people communicate now. Even my dad, who is the most technological adverse person, he doesn't have a Facebook, he doesn't have any of this stuff, he thinks it's all crap, WhatsApps. So if my dad is WhatsApping and my nan is WhatsApping, we should all be WhatsApping our customers, whether that's from a customer service perspective or a lead and communications perspective. But also, don't forget the old things as well. It's adding in and also doing what has traditionally worked. I've won 4 big deals over the course of the last 6 months where the customers, we ask every customer how they found out about us and why they chose to use us. 4 customers in the last 6 months have said they signed up with my business because we were the only person to answer the phone on the first call inquiry. So we just do the simple things right. We just do the simple. I've never forget when I made it to semi-professional football. I always wanted to be a professional football player, and I got to the top league once. And I went to the training session, and I thought there was going to be some crazy drills we did, because this is the professionals now. And the first drill we did for half an hour was kicking the ball 2 meters back and forth to one another. And I said to the coach, this is mental. This is the top league. Why are we doing such an easy drill? He said, the best players do the simplest things right. And that is true about any good business. Amazon does the simple things beautifully. So does Apple. That the biggest businesses are passing that ball, to use the analogy, perfectly in the short distances. That's why they're the best players. And I've never forgot that. And I use that in my business. We do phone training, how to answer the phone. We have time lapses on how quickly we must answer the info at email or any form inquiry. Little things like that goes such a long way.
Yeah. And it's remembering, if someone's on holiday, who's picking it up. And at the moment, a lot of people are still working from home. So where is that phone directed to? If that person's on holiday, where is it going now? And not forgetting about it. Like, we had 3 leads in this morning from our info. It was our website contact form. Sorry, yep. I can't remember what it's called there. That hits our info at address. Now, if Pam, our admin manager, hadn't forwarded them on, they wouldn't be dealt with. So does that person understand the importance? Are they forwarding it on to the right people? If they're on holiday, who's picking it up? It's never just, it's simple. Like you said, it's the baby steps. It's the kicking the ball back and forth. But it's also the ones that the ball's easy to drop. Really easy.
Very. And when you educate your Pam, in your instance, and understand how much that lead has cost you to generate, she'll forward them more quickly. Because when you actually work out, it's not £17 for the AdWord or whatever, it is Pam's salary, the office overhead, the ones that clicked your ad that didn't convert. There's so much that's got to go into that lead hitting your email, and understanding what that number is and educating your whole team. When that phone rings, it's worth to us £12,000. Whoa, 12,000? Okay, I'm answering that phone a little bit different. So it's just understanding your business, understanding your customers, and the importance of just and speaking to people. Some people prefer speaking on the phone. Some people prefer speaking on WhatsApp. Don't dictate how the market has changed. Move with it and be comfortable with how it's shifted.
I love that. So we've spoken about the alignment, we've spoken about the baby steps, the passing the ball, the dropping the ball, some of the top tips for digital marketing right now. So thank you so much for your time, first of all, Mark. And I would love to know what is next for Climb Online, because you guys are working internationally already. What's happening with the business? Where are you going? And how can people follow your journey?
Thanks, Sarah. Thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it. If you just search for Climb Online, we will come up on the top of any search engine, obviously. Or you search for Mark Wright on any social media platform. I will be there with a blue tick, handsome Australian fellow. So that's how you can find us, and I'd appreciate anyone getting in touch. For us, our business plan is looking at moving to Sydney and New York over the next 18 months, and I'd love to put a company public. They're the sort of goals, is, expanding the business internationally and putting a company public would be great challenges for me in my business journey. But also I want to reach into multiple international markets to help as many businesses as possible.
Amazing. So if anyone's listening to this based in US or Australia, and you can help Mark out with some leads or some networking opportunity, or where the best bars are, I'm sure it'll go down well. So thank you so much for your time, Mark. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and we'll obviously have Mark's socials, etc., in the show notes for the podcast, so you'll find it there. So thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks again.
Thank you for listening to the Sales Insights with Sarah podcast. Remember to subscribe if you haven't already, so that you are notified of every new episode. If you could take a few minutes to leave a review, it would be greatly appreciated. See you next time.